Good evening and welcome. This is CU Immigration here on WRFU LP Urbana 104.5 FM. I will be your host for this evening. My name is Mr. Garza, and I'm here to let you know that WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana-Champaign community. Views expressed are those of the speakers and are not intended to represent WRFU, UCIMC, Urbana Socialist Forum, or UPTV, as we say on the televised version of this show. So, whose views are these? Well, we're going to find out here.
All right. My name is Nancy Ramirez Blancas. I am a student here at the University of Illinois. I study psychology and pre-law, and I'm also the president for ICAUS, which is Illinois Coalition Assisting Undocumented Students Education. And so I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you very much.
And I am Rodas. This is my second time on the show. I am officially a senior in graphic design, and I am the vice president of ICAUS this year.
But anyway, so what does ICAUS hope to accomplish this year?
Well, we hope to educate the community, our students, and our faculty members at the university on issues about immigration and DACA students, and really what it means to, meet someone like that, and and also kind of the implications of how laws and policies affect students at the university.
Because I suspect that a lot of people have the opinion like, oh, well, you're here, so you've accomplished whatever you needed to accomplish to get here, so you're done. I mean, now you're just like the rest of us, Right. We're all here together and we're all doing the same thing. So it's like they imagine perhaps that the hurdles are somewhere prior to getting here. What kinds of ongoing things? I'm sure funding is one of them, but aside from that, what kind of ongoing problems are there?
Well, for one, the university has a different administration process for undocumented students. That's kind of very complicated, and we've kind of termed or coined it the I shuffle.
Yeah,
I like that.
Because as an undocumented student, registering at the university, you get shuffled around departments, people, until you end up at La Casa, and then that's when finally you're figuring out what you have to do to be registered, to be in the administration process and stuff. So it's pretty complicated, and so a lot of students really don't know how to do that, and so we kind of guide them along the way and give them those resources that they need.
So do a lot of administrators not know either? Like you go into somebody's office and they're like, well, you didn't fill out this line. And you're like, well, I can't because it's asking for this. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. So call. So it's just they keep pushing you on this. I see.
Yeah, and in my experience, I was like, I'm DACA. And they're like, what's that? And it's like, oh, so it's like spending 20 minutes trying to explain what it is. And it's embarrassing sometimes. And
is it that hard to they've done it before, right? They've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
But they just somehow magically never happened to run into somebody?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess that could be. My parents and I always asked ourselves the same questions, like, how long has DACA been a thing? And I think from when it was my freshman year, maybe it was around for 3-4 years or so. Yeah. So there was someone had to gone by that office at some point, but it was the same thing as Nancy. You try to explain it all, and then they still don't understand because they still don't know what their protocol would be to it. And it was just sort of sending you to somebody else and hope for the best, and then that's where you keep shuffling from office to office, person to person. And I guess what we really want to do with ICAUS is try to get these students early on, so they wouldn't have to spend weeks, months just trying to figure things out and trying to get discouraged when we try to make ourselves available for them. But I guess that's definitely what the Ally training is trying to promote, just getting more people, more faculty members from individual colleges or the administration itself to get educated. Even if they don't know specific, the answers to specific questions, they have a website now they can go to. They know most likely one of us now. They can contact someone. And we're available. It's not like we're kind of hiding anywhere. We're trying to make ourselves available for everyone to see. So in case anyone comes up with any sort of questions, we're there.
Because we being CU Immigration Forum, have talked to like university officials and city officials and universities kind of the same way. They're like, oh, well, we just don't even track that. We don't
Right.
even put that stuff
Yeah.
down on paper. So how do you find people and how do they find you? I mean, they find you because you advertise, right, in
Yeah,
some way.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find them? Or do you find them? You just wait to be found? Or how does it work?
Well, it happens to be one of our biggest struggles right now is
Mm.
really trying to figure out how to find them because, like you said, the university, under FERPA, they don't hold any information on undocumented students, so we can't really reach out to them in that way. And so we have to just incorporate other cultural houses, other departments, professors, in the hopes of just trying to pass that word on, And we try to talk to organizations as well, and try to if you know someone who's undocumented or DACA, send them our way. And so, but that's probably one of our biggest struggle right now is trying to figure out where are they,
Yeah.
and how can we get them to us.
And it's not something that we can, I guess, get them because we're ready. It's something that each individual person has to be ready for. They'll come out when they feel the need to, whether it be to a professor, friend, whoever it may be. But it's like on their terms. So that's also something that, we have to take into consideration because we can't just, it's like, well, we're ready. We have this program. We have this RSO. Let's go find them. But it's, they're not ready for that step.
So it's a little iffy.
Yeah.
You don't, hey.
It's like, hey, I know you. Come over here. Yeah.
And then we also found out that there's some kind of cultural boundaries through that. Because, for example, like the Asian community is very reserved and very conservative about their status. In fact, we sometimes get students that are Asian or other countries, and they'll say things like, "Oh, well, I can't do that because my parents would be really upset," or my parents don't even know that I'm here. And it's like it's a very complicated issue that even a lot of students are not at liberty to even disclose sometimes.
Yeah, and that brings up the whole how do you help people thing, because that's something we've suffered with since the beginning of the formation of our group. Was we know that we have good intentions, but how do we convince you that we have good intentions, and how do we decide how to help people?
I think a lot of it can do, like, to deal with that, be kind of like word of mouth. Because I think, when I was definitely applying to DACA, I know we had in my hometown similar workshops, but it was like, let's just sort of like wait, see like what happens. But after a couple of years, because I wanted to wait till I was close to graduating high school, then we heard nothing but good things about it, nothing bad. So we're like, okay, let's try to do this. But other family friends were kind of like in the same boat. So like one person went, it was like, okay, everything seems to be A-okay. Next person. So it's just sort of like keeping that cycle, that conversation going, and making sure that's like, okay, things are still fine. What could be the next step?
Right.
But yeah.
And so our next focus, we last year we did a coming out of the shadows right at the Anniversary Plaza at the university, in the hopes of attracting more people that way, and then they can hear our experiences and maybe in some sense relate, and maybe hopefully their own concerns are validated, and in the hopes that maybe they can trust us and come and find us out.
Yeah, which brings us to DACA, and the latest word I've heard, I don't know what you've heard, is that he plans to end it, but with a 6-month delay. Which there's what happens in that 6 months is like, does he is it shut off on day one, but no one's going to deport you for 6 months, or does it just kind of last for 6 months? I don't know, but that's kind of like almost really close to the worst case scenario that we were envisioning in the when the idea first came out. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I think it happened.
We're right on the edge of it. Yes.
So, what does that mean to your organization or to you? I mean, if you even want to talk about it. I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But to your organization, at least, what do you tell somebody? I mean, surely people are coming to you saying, what am I going to do? And you're you were supposed to say what? Do that.
Yeah.
Well, we try to provide, information, to students on what to do if DACA does end up ending. But at the same time, we try to kind of confirm, we've looked at the history of the United States, and you can tell that every 30 years or so, at least in the past, there's been some type of immigration concern or law or policy that just gets put in motion. And so we are right on the cusp of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, and every single time that any laws or policies have been changed, we've kind of move on from there, and we begin from there again, regardless if it's positive or negative. And so that's how we're taking it right now, at least for iCause. We're gonna take in what the president says, and we're gonna try to then use that information to now cater to our students.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's a little different for students versus the folks that are just out working.
Yeah,
who have jobs.
definitely.
Because as students, it's like, okay, well, nothing changes except maybe I'll be gone tomorrow, but that work permit thing is like a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of students are probably working too, so that probably affects them. But I just don't know. I have a lot of friends who are like they have jobs, they have houses and cars and families, and it's like, what does that mean to them? I don't even know. I don't want to say I want to avoid having conversations with them, but I'm kind of like, I kind of don't want to talk about this because I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happens to you. If you can't work, then suddenly what? You did become a dishwasher at Dos Reales or something like that.
See, that's my biggest fear. Right now I work. I work as a recovery specialist. I take care of my clients, and the thought of possibly losing my job is very scary because that's how I kind of pay for my rent and my livelihood, and then trying to go to school at the same time will probably, I don't know. It just seems like a very scary situation.
Sure.
And then just recently, I got accepted to go travel to Mexico under the U.S.-Mexico Foundation, and so I just filed for my advanced parole. And so now I'm like, is this a smart move, or should I go to Mexico? I mean, it's gotten complicated as to what would really happen, and so the fact that I am very uncertain about what's going to happen in the future just worries me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very true. I mean, same thing. I'm pretty sure everyone that has DACA, that at least I know of, is most definitely working.
Oh,
or at least more than one job as well.
So very few people are just like, oh, I'm a student.
Yeah, just sort of chilling out there.
Just hanging out. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely taking advantage of it, especially now that we have it. But it's, same thing. I'm an RA within university housing. I have a whole floor to look after, and that just pays at least for half of my tuition right there.
Yeah.
And that job is more than just like a housing scholarship. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's like, if this were to go into effect, we don't know the specifications of things, but like for me personally, I didn't want to go down to like the same low point after November of last year.
Right.
That was beyond. I mean, I know I've only been like alive for like 21 years. I don't know life yet, but that was definitely like the worst parts of like that whole year. And it was a lot of like a learning experience, but I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So it just went literally spiraling down. But to be honest, now what I have now that I didn't have last year is definitely God in my community, in my church. That community has been more than I could have ever asked for.
Oh,
and
good.
the community that I found here with ICOS as well. Because we all have each other's backs. We all just there, even though if we don't know what's going to happen or the specifics of things, just knowing that somebody has your back whenever something could go wrong does more than anything that you could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like, it's more than just sort of like signing like the resolution that we want to have for tomorrow. Like, it's something just showing the support and definitely seeing that you're not alone, because that's something that I know many undocumented students, DACA or without DACA, they definitely feel alone. Like, there's that fear in their hearts, that uncertainty, that anxiousness, and they just feel alone. They feel like they can't go to anyone. But there are people out there.
Yeah.
We're here.
But part of the problem or not part of the problem, but a big problem with this. And I've heard people say this, and it just infuriates me because it seems it's like such a shallow understanding of things. They go, well, it's not like they're killing you or you're going to go to jail. It's just you just have to go back to your country or whatever. It's like everything you just said there explains why that's a really horrible thing.
Yeah, really.
It's like if it was jail, that would be okay. It's like, just send me to jail for 20 years. My friends will be there. I'll deal with it. We'll get through because we're together. But no, we're going to take you up and throw you away somewhere.
Yeah.
That's horribly destructive.
And it is, because I have no clue what Mexico is. I mean, my mom brought me here when I was 1, and so going to Mexico for the first time in December will literally be the first time going to Mexico, and so I think I would get lost. I mean, I think my Spanish is not even that good anymore. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, I'm totally with you on that. I'm at a loss for words when I try to think to explain to people how disruptive that idea is. It's not a simple thing. It's like, oh man, you can reapply and come back. And like, no, it's like 20 years or so.
It's like you have to consider those restrictions. Like, let's say you do get deported, but you have to be in your country for like, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, in that time, you build your life again.
Right.
You're not coming back unless you're very desperate and there's like something that is making you come back.
Right.
But if you're just being taken out, I mean, in that time, you're not just sort of going to wait 20 years and just wait to come back, save some money just to do that. Like, you're starting from zero. You're starting from nothing.
Exactly. So it's such a huge deal. I mean, this really is an enormous thing that I feel like it's getting kind of shortchanged in the media. I don't know. I mean, they talk about it, but it's always the same, like little 2 or 3 sound bites. 800,000 people, they have these figures, and they trot them out, and they go blah, 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 and then they're done with it, and they give a few quotes from senators who say, well, I would feel very bad if that happened. Well, who cares? What are you going to do?
What are your
what's
actions?
the solution?
So I don't know. I mean, the idea that I've heard expressed is that the 6 months is supposed to give Congress time to come up with an answer, like to force their hand.
Yeah.
And if that's what he's doing, which I find really hard. I mean, suddenly this guy goes from being a crazy bomb thrower to like a strategist. Like, okay, I've got this plan here, and we're going to see what happens.
I care about the dreamers.
Yeah, it's like, come on. I don't really buy that. But maybe somebody had this plan, and it's their idea. So what are the possibilities? I mean, what are the possible scenarios here? The new Dream Act. What do they call that?
What do they call it?
That one is called the Bridge Act.
The Bridge Act.
Yes.
So that comes up again, and all the usual suspects either vote for it or, Steve King comes out and goes, "Oh no, drug dealers! No, we don't want them." What's different this time? What happens differently? I don't even know.
The Bridge Act is a more national bill, but at least for Illinois, we have the Access Bill.
Yeah.
That would, allow undocumented students to apply for financial aid, and that's something that we definitely need.
That's good.
We look forward to, but the Bridge Act will allow at least people like us to have a path towards citizenship, which is really what we all want.
Yeah, you have to, in order to apply for it, you have to be here for a certain amount of time.
Right.
There's like different paths you can take if you have DACA or if you don't have DACA. After that time, you apply for like your green card.
Yeah.
And then you're just sort of here for X amount of time.
5 years or so.
You work, you go to school, whatever it is that you are doing, and then you apply again for citizenship.
Well,
so
that's not
they're
bad.
giving, I guess with this, what the Bridge Act allows, it gives us a bit more of a time frame for how things would kind of go.
Right.
Which we didn't have before. It was just sort of like up in the air and see which congressman or senator decides to write this up.
Right.
I mean, of course, then you gotta, fulfill their requirements. No criminal background, going to school, and maybe even joining the army. And so, and then of course, you had to be here from a young age.
Mhm.
But that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds better than I kind of was imagining it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
That's a
similar.
possibility.
It's very similar to defer action.
Mhm.
It's just that one key is gaining that citizenship.
So
Yeah.
you can go somewhere
Right.
with it. It's
Yeah.
not just
So we're not just
On
kind of
hold.
stuck on limbo
Yeah, you
with
just
our work permit.
Continuously renewing until something happens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Last I heard, Trump was trying to, shut down the government if he couldn't get his wall built. So at some point they were floating the idea of holding up the DACA people and like, we'll trade you this
Right.
for the wall,
Yeah.
At this point,
It's called like the ambitious bill. It's
Yeah.
what it's been coined in the news
Really?
media. The ambitious deal. Where
I-
they're, I don't know. That seems, I don't like that because it's almost like I'm throwing my parents under the bus.
Yeah, right.
yeah, well, that, according
Right,
there
and,
was
and every other, immigrant out there, it's like,
there was some congressman, I forget who it was, who actually said that if DACA students, young people were such great people, they'd be turning their parents in for bringing them here.
Mhm.
If they were true Americans or something like that. I was like, what
we're not going to do that.
kind of thinking is that? And it just doesn't, even if that does work, it's still the same problem with families being torn apart. You still you
Yeah,
haven't really
exactly.
solved anything except for one very narrow group, which I love this very narrow group, and I really want to solve things for you, but in the grand scheme of things,
Right.
it's only one very narrow
Exactly.
constituency
Yeah.
that is being helped by this, and so I don't know.
So, in some sense, we're hoping for maybe a greater immigration reform, more comprehensive, of course, and one that caters to not just us, but everyone.
Yeah.
It's been proven that really tough immigration laws incite more illegal immigration, and so we know for a fact that does not work. And so,
I know.
the government needs to be aware of that and really figure out other solutions to that.
Mhm.
But they're not trying. That's the problem. There's an entire segment of the government that doesn't care about that at all.
Mhm.
They care about firing up people and
Yeah,
getting
really.
them to support them because they're scared or they're
Right.
angry
Mhm.
or whatever. That's all they care about. So solutions, you can come up with every logical solution you want, and it doesn't matter because they're not listening.
Very intense situation, very tough times right now, but
It is.
very complicated, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of Americans don't understand. It's not
Mhm.
just black and white, but it really is a gray matter. It takes a lot of effort from senators, representatives, and other organizations, and obviously the voters too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until we're all on the same page, and as of right now, America's kind of split in half.
My fear is that given Republicans in the Congress and House and administration, that any deal that they come up with, any legislation that they propose, is going to basically sort of, it's going to be like a trade. Like I was saying earlier, it's trading your security for everybody else's. And then it's going to put, I think it will be designed to put like Democrats in the position of going, okay, do we sell out
Yeah.
families and everybody else for just this one group, or do we say no and then everybody gets screwed, And I'm not sure. I'm glad I don't have to vote on whatever it is, because I'm sure it's going to be structured like something like that.
That makes me feel really upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's just a crazy amount of uncertainty.
Feeling.
Like
Mhm.
everyone is putting in their opinion, everyone's putting in their input. Well, it's like nothing has happened. Just sort of waiting till the final say happens.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have just kind of like shut down because of so much that's going on. It's like I don't blame them.
At least in my situation, I just want to help the people that are within my proximity, the people that I can reach, and just in the hopes that I can help, and at the same time, knowing that I'm helping people just makes me feel better, and
Yeah.
it allows me to continue fighting. I will always continue fighting.
Yeah,
I've always
I-
been a warrior.
Like for me, it's like I honestly don't know what tomorrow holds. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I take it one day at a time. you know, it's you can't think about tomorrow, otherwise I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
And I can't live like that. I need my sleep.
Right.
Gotta survive. Gotta eat. Gotta wake up tomorrow. Go to class.
Yep.
You know?
Gotta go to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
My methods have always been, you know, I always just try to do it through the administrative way. I always try to talk to the right people, try to find the right, you know, networking groups to get all this information out there. But at the same time, you know, I have friends that are doing the radical thing, right?
Yeah.
They're going to those rallies. They're sitting right in front of, you know, Governor Rauner's office.
Right.
And, you know, getting arrested. And I think, you know, if we tackle it from all different perspectives, we can definitely, maybe, hopefully, bring about some type of reform or change.
I think that's where like our allies come in. Like we can't do everything.
Right.
You know, there's certain level of safety that, I mean, I hope we both want to uphold.
Yep.
But I mean, we all have, you know, like you said, we all have those friends who are out there doing the fight for us in places that we know we can't be in. I guess that's where the community comes in.
Ask people to do is just keep calling your representative, your state representative, your local state office. You know, call Governor Rauner, and then also contact your, you know, national level representatives, right? To try to put some type of legislation that would help protect students or DACA students like us. And so, but we require the community to do that. And obviously attend rallies, come to these, you know, come to our sessions, come to our meetings, come to our trainings. You know, just, and at the same time, we encourage people to donate to La Casa Cultural Scholarship Fund to then help in a more personal way the students that are here in the community, right? Who might be struggling because of what's going to happen or already struggling financially to pay for their tuition. And then, of course, you know, visit our page, iCause at Facebook. And, you know, even if you can't donate money, at least you're following us. You're, you know, you're aware of the events that are happening. And it's, you know, just by providing your support is enough to kind of continue the fight, you know, to continue helping us. And then I always encourage people who, you know, are on that side to come and talk to me, really. Like, come and find me at the university. I'll talk to you. I'll try to explain as much as I can, and at least just to, you know, give you some knowledge that you can kind of work with and you know, create your own sort of views on that then. But by that point, we hope that it's a better view than the original, you know, biased one.
Well, there was that guy from, was it Tennessee, who was one of the signatories on the Attorney Generals who were suing the Trump administration to get rid of DACA, and he said, you know what, I talked to people and I changed my mind. I don't want to be a part of this because I don't think that. Right. So it's possible. I mean, it's really possible. I mean,
it is possible because when we talked to the Illini Republicans last year, I mean, they canceled their event that we were trying to prevent them from doing, and it all came because we had an honest discussion.